All right, so many things coming down the pike. It really, really is hard to keep up. But I wanted to show you this. This is the Isaiah Carter guy that I showed you the other day where he left the Democrat Party. As a matter of fact, that's what the name of this video is. I left the Democrat Party when he found out how bad they were, and now he's gone over to the Republican Party. But this is the last part of that clip being played on Alex Jones' InfoWars, or the Alex Jones Show, it's now called. And I wanted to show you Alex Jones' reaction to it because he continues to propagate the left versus right paradigm lie, but he says there's a fundamental change going on the landscape of humanity under this new regime. Check this out.
We see the game now. Y'all been out here telling us that the game was rigged against certain people. Well, now we found out who the people that were rigging the game were. Congratulations. Y'all are never going to win another political race ever again. Not if I can help it.
So, I've been explaining this for a long time, and people on the left are really waking up. People on the right are waking up. But left and right really is just a paradigm system that we use to define things. And that's a whole history lesson of where the term left-right comes from. Until the Jacobins of the French Revolution, it meant God is on the right, the devil is on the left-hand path, associated with the occult, corruption, betrayal, evil. And then the Jacobins were satanic, Illuminati. Look up the history books for new viewers. It sounds crazy. It's not fiction. It just became legend. But a lot of people play clips of me 25 years ago saying Republicans and Democrats are all the same. Well, yeah, then they were. And I've gone through the process here explaining we're taking the Republican Party over. The Democrats ought to be reformed as well.
The implication is now they're not. Now they're not all the same. There's still a DNC. There's still an RNC. It's been like that for a long, long time. And we know the DNC and the RNC are corporate entities owned by corporate oligarchs. So it's still a two-party system game that really is a uniparty when you look just a little bit under the hood. All you got to do is just crack the hood just a little bit. Oh, yeah, it's a uniparty. They're working together against the people to lay cover for the Zio international banking cartel that Alex Jones will even tell you exists and needs to be eliminated. How many times has he had Ron Paul on his show? They acknowledge that these things exist. They acknowledge the evils of the fiat currency Ponzi scheme system, the petrodollar system laid down by, starting with the Federal Reserve in 1913 and then the closing of the gold window in 1971. Before that, the reneging of the Bretton Woods Agreement in the 1940s after World War II when they pegged the US dollar to $35 an ounce gold. That's why it was so instrumental and important for Nixon to close the gold window on August 15th, 1971, because the U.S. government was defaulting on their promise, their Bretton Woods promise of pegging the dollar to $35 an ounce gold. And Alex Jones knows this, and he understands what it's really all about, and yet he still plays the left versus right political paradigm game, saying, hey, things have fundamentally changed here. Yeah, it's a left versus right paradigm, but even people on the left are seeing it now. Even people on the right are seeing it now, but it's still the same game, and you're still participating as though you were pawns on a chessboard, and people like Alex Jones is trying to keep your mind on that chessboard instead of backing out. He calls things globalist, the globalist. How can you get more globalist than overseeing the largest power and wealth transfer, not just in American history, but also in world history under the CARES Act that was signed by Obama? No. By Biden? No. By Donald Trump. Never signed anything with the T on it before. I don't know if I can do this, Mitch. Everybody laughs. First pen goes to who? Steve Mnuchin, Zio International Banking Cartel member Steve Mnuchin. Why isn't anybody talking about eradicating the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group? None of that's being discussed. They talk about all these surface things that look like they're important, like border security and, hey, we got to give more money to Ukraine. They look like they're important and earth-shattering, and on some level they are. But if you just cut out the feet of all that stuff, you can't fund a Ukraine. You can't give $3.8 billion a year to Israel and beef up their missile defense system known as the Iron Dome. You can't continue with all this foreign aid unless you take the axe to the root of the bankster, the Zio International Banking Cartel bankster scheme. Alex Jones knows this, but he still plays the game and wants you to participate in the game because that's where his bread and butter lies. So when you've got Democrats who are saying, hey, I've abandoned the Democrat Party. Oh, my God, that's good. Where did you flee to? I fled from this burning house right here, the Democrat house, to the burning house across the street. We're on the same street heading in the same direction, but now I'm in the burning Republican/Team MAGA house. And Alex Jones, not a word about this. Matter of fact, he continues to foment the left versus right paradigm lie nonsense as he recognizes its existence. It's just a psychological operation embedded in a psychological operation, in my opinion. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. But listen to what else he says.
Democrats, you really ought to stop doing this. But instead of them getting better, they got worse. And so this is not the Republican Party of 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Really?
This is a populist movement, and worldwide it's happening.
Does populism equal moralism? It's not a good thing to be considered well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. If we have a profoundly sick society where nearly everybody's minds are corrupted and immersed and indoctrinated and programmed into the left versus right paradigm line, they continue to participate in that, then populism equals popularism, and the common man's mind has been infected by the indoctrination of the 15,000-hour indoctrination program known as the public school system, for example, which is another thing that he talks about. See, populism is generally understood as a political figure or movement that claims to represent the interests of the common people. Even if you claimed to represent the interests of the common people, if you don't stay on the core basics, in other words, number one, it's not a crime unless you've left a real victim. Number two, it's never right to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. Everybody knows this. Number three, nobody has a higher claim over your life and property than you do. Number four, the golden rule: do to others what you would want done to you. Conversely, don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. These four elements, every normal, moral-based person can agree with, and all four of those elements are violated every single day by the left, by the right, by Team MAGA, by progressives on the left, because they advocate for widespread theft and criminality by the government. As long as it's their guy doing the stealing, as long as it's their guy doing the extorting, as long as it's their guy shoveling boatloads of money to people like, I don't know, Benjamin Netanyahu. And people like Alex Jones are completely on board with this. As long as it's populist, we're looking for the populist mindset. Somebody who's going to appeal to the common people. That's what MAGA says that they do. That's what the progressive left says that they do.
Through mainly conservative parties, but there's also liberal parties that are reforming themselves. So this is a global realignment. And I got a bunch of examples of that around the world. And you see what's happening with the elections. So the EU tries to cancel them. In Romania, now in Germany, they're trying, and in the UK, because they know they're on their way out. And the fact that they're pressuring and taking the mask off of totalitarianism, and a federal judge is trying to block, don't release the corrupt documents, the stolen money, that will just hasten their total removal. So
it's always going to be good to expose corruption. But if the entity that's exposing a level of corruption is corrupt itself, so that they can seed and plant and germinate more corruption, a different kind of corruption on the other side, then you've just basically exacerbated the entire thing, while to the tune and applause of the masses, the populist masses, the common people who think MAGA is doing a really good job. And don't get me wrong, from the look of it, it looks like the Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency is unearthing a whole lot of evil that we all knew was there the entire time. They're just being more specific about it. That is a unique thing that's happening. But what other seeds of corruption is that organization, is that entity, or is that billionaire elitist globalist class implanting into the system? And will the system be worse and even look worse in the coming 4 years? Just some questions here.
We're at that magic moment where people are awake and see it, and the bad guys are using all the same tactics they did. So this is a very positive, optimistic, but also extremely dangerous time. We talk a lot about how they're going to try to counterstrike, and there's news on that, trying to crash the stock market.
What if it's not a good time at all? What if it's a really, really bad time masquerading itself as a good time? So he's talking about having this Isaiah Carter guy who was a Democrat. Now he's a Republican. Now he's on board with Team MAGA, talking about inviting him onto the show. But I wanted to show you this because, you know, it gets really, really deceptive, because common people who have morality are generally pretty hopeful and therefore kind of susceptible to being deceived, because the powers that shouldn't be leverage that and manipulate that and worm their way into the minds of those people who are hopeful, and then they exploit it to their own ends. And it just leads to really, really bad things, not just politically, but also practically in the common everyday lives of you and me. Leave your thoughts about this. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Subscribe. Make sure if you want to grab a shirt, it really helps out. If you want to support the channel, the links are in the description. I will see you in the next video.